Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school.
Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the Miles and Crawford Variety Hour. This is episode 7. We're going to be talking about conspiracies and wherever the hell else we feel like making our way through conversation land.
I didn't have my aluminum foil ready today, unfortunately. I didn't buy enough of it, so yeah. I do have some in my kitchen. We can make some fucking sweet ass like boat hats and put those on.
I really
think that would fuck up with our mics though.
I didn't have any foil at home. I really was gonna make us a couple of tinfoil hats to put on while we did this podcast because I don't want the government to read our thoughts, even though we're voicing them over the air. You know, but you can't think what I don't want you to know what I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, who knows with the fucking jackass and fucking charge and Trump TV. I mean, with Trump TV now.
Did you see that now?
I have not watched Trump TV because fuck that bitch. But
state media. Is that
state
what you
media.
mean?
Yeah. And
only the real news coming from the state. That's totally trustworthy.
I mean, where's my fucking anonymous mask, my fucking V in my forehead, and a fucking black cape, right. Black and red? Is that what it was for V-Pen? Right? You wore like a black and red cape?
I want to say it was white on the inside, black on the outside.
Ooh, there we go. Black and white. Yeah, that sounds good.
I feel bad because some people are like fucking posers. You don't even know what V for Vendetta was about. Listen, I do. I just don't remember his outfit. So fuck you and your judgmentalness. Here's another thing. I joined tons of podcast groups, and they all discuss other podcasts and what they like and don't like. And I saw one person had posted like, does it not turn you off when people can't pronounce things correctly? Like, I'm just completely turned off when somebody just mangles a name. So it just made me wonder about our last podcast, Linguini. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, fuck you, because in a normal conversation, it's not perfect. It's not like somebody's like, I'm going to meet up with Ashley at 2 for drinks, so I better make sure I know all my words.
This is my voice to text. It is time to sound like a robot while I am on podcasting. I'm
sorry if I pronounce things wrong, which I do pretty often.
But here's us giving a shit.
This is a natural conversation.
Let's give a moment of silence for us giving a shit. And there it is. It's all gone. The fucks went out the window. We apologize. They're all gone now.
They're flying away.
They flew away.
It's a beautiful blue day.
They're all fucks. They're gone. Bye.
They're off to somebody who does care.
We fucking don't.
Somebody's sitting at their editing board like, somebody's going to say that's wrong. Just kidding. Anyways,
the FCC is listening to us, and now they're going to edit all of our fucks anyways.
We're on the short list of people that need to go. No. So we're going to talk about some different conspiracies. Nothing too Alex Jonesy or InfoWars. Just
Alex Jones. Wasn't he fun?
You know what? When he first came out, and I don't know, I was thinking about
forever
this
ago.
As I was like getting around today. I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about or whatever, and I was like, you know, when he first came out, or when I first hipped to him 10 years ago or so, I was like, damn, this dude's really got some interesting things to say.
Dude, Alex Jones was super.
Went a little crazy. But I didn't want to say 10 years ago, and then somebody listening and be like, Alex Jones didn't actually start his website until 8 years ago.
So you're like really off because we didn't Wikipedia this shit.
Yeah.
I can tell you that Wikipedia told me that he was born February 11th, 1974. So he is an Aquarius. I mean, yay, Aquarius.
Is this the age of Aquarius? Isn't that our golden name?
I mean, you know, he's the center of the Sandy, Hook Elementary shooting conspiracy.
That shit upsets me so bad.
I am so, you know what, like...
You know what? That one, and I think this happens to a lot of parents. When you see something happen to children, in Sandy Hook, one of the little boys that died looked a lot like my oldest son. And I could not stop staring at that kid's picture, through the news and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that Sandy Hook shooting, I think it hit us all because those were just small children, but that particularly really affected me. And so for him to be like, that's all fake, and they have, what are they called? Crisis actors. But those women don't look anything alike. I mean, they look similar.
Yeah.
They have long, dark hair and noses. You're right. That's the same lady at all three.
and I get into these people who are all like, how can you not believe that this is something that our government would do? And why did the media put more attention on Sandy Hook? Why are we still not, talking about it? And that element. Well, actually, we kind of quit talking about everything. We quit talking about Columbine. We don't talk about the Aurora shooting in the theater. We don't talk about Virginia Tech shooting. We don't talk about Sandy Hook.
We're trying to talk about it because it gives those people that want to commit those crimes, that's what they want, as the publicity. So from what I've found online, is people are trying to move away from talking about what happened, to talking about the people it happened to.
Yeah.
And not giving a spotlight to the person that did it, or the mechanics of it, or how grisly it was.
And not only that, but I mean, you're putting those people on such spotlight. I was listening to a TED Talks, and it was actually one of the moms, Dylan Klebold's mother.
I have a lot of respect for her.
Yeah, she came out and, she talked about, like, fuck, man, her life was just,
She did an interview,
she tried, like, fuck, God, I can't.
It was with one of the famous anchors. I don't want to say Barbara Walters or Diane Sawyer, or...
Wasn't it, whatever.
It was one of the primetime anchor ladies. She was kind of harsh with her. And they showed her, like, before the interview, she was pacing back and forth. And we're both mothers, and I've talked about this a couple times before, Good, what do they say? And I don't think that her son was as bad as Eric was.
Yeah, I agree.
He was a psychotic. I was obsessed with Columbine for a long time.
I was so obsessed with it. I was like, what the hell is this going to happen?
I read Eric's diaries, and I read Dylan's diaries, just trying to figure out, like, how did two teenagers, in the aftermath of it, and all the police evidence and everything, and it just seemed like he was kind of unsure about it up to the end. You know what I mean? Like, but he went along with it because of peer pressure, I guess is what you want to call it. Like, you don't want to back out.
Well, I think that's another thing.
He had a girlfriend. He still had, like, plans,
See, and I think that we stopped using the word peer pressure and we started using the word bullying. And that is a lot. There's actually a difference.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing is that people aren't talking about peer pressure the way we used to talk about it.
You don't hear that anymore.
No, it's all about being bullied. Bully.
You're not being bullied. You're just being pressured to be like your peers.
Yeah, and there's a difference, and there really is. I mean, there's a difference between getting your ass kicked because you're wearing glasses and you got the straight A's to deciding to smoke some weed because you had 5 friends around. I mean, there's a difference, and people don't understand that.
And I know that every generation is different, but my generation, if I went somewhere and my friends were smoking pot or drinking or doing anything of their choice, smoking cigarettes, they would offer. But if I said no, they never were like, whoa, what's wrong? Are you a goodie too? Never. I never had that issue. They were just like, all right, more for me.
Yeah, I had a handful of those issues, but I mean, at the same time, like...
I mean, a little bit of razzing, but not to the point where I felt pressured.
Pressured to doing it,
I mean?
Where you're like...
some light teasing or whatever, but never like, all right, give it here. Just because, like, you felt like it was either that or leave.
Yeah. I did that, like, the last time I was, quote-unquote, like, pressured was, like, years ago. I was at, like, a bar, and I'm like, I'm good for the night. They're like, oh, come on, just one more. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, seriously. Right. And then buying you a shot, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
fine.
That happens.
And then I took that fucking shot, and then I was, like, out fucking side, like, bitches, I told you I was done. Like, now, you know what? I'm gonna puke in your fucking vehicle because you made this happen, you fucking dumbass. Like, I hate you.
I know my limit.
Yeah, I do too. I'm very, like, here I am. Here's my limit. It's time to go. See ya.
Right.
Like,
this is my perfect spot right here.
And I wasn't being bullied by my friends. They pressured me to taking a shot, and I could have said no. And
you were bullied, Amanda.
I was bullied. But, I mean... Anyways, back to conspiracies and Alex Jones and those people that do this kind of bullshit where, the Sandy Hook theory of things is really fucking aggravating because my brother loves conspiracies. He's great on, like, he'll share all kinds of videos with me. And
my boyfriend does too.
Yeah. And
he's all about Chem Trails.
Oh, yeah. My brother's really big. Like, lo and behold, like, you find out that these people are making up all these stories and da-da-da, and you really try to figure out, what do they call them, LARPers?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love LARP the day, my friend. To all you LARPers out there, I have so many cosplay outfits, it's disgusting.
And he was talking about, following this dude, like, via Twitter. I think it was something of the light, and he was really interesting about finding aliens and all this. He had all these facts, all these stories, and everybody was like, he went from, like, 200 followers to, like, 1 million followers over through a few Reddits.
There's a lot of people that really... I mean, and I believe in aliens. I mean, I think it's just so stupid to think that we're just alone in the universe. It's so funny.
Well,
it's just us.
It's just us. And you know what? I really like the one about the pyramids. I really, really enjoy
aliens.
About how and about how, like, the precision of that time. And not only that, but I like the idea, like, you are literally carrying 20 guys are carrying 50-ton rock over 650 feet into the... it's so...
hard to understand. But
But I can go eat some KFC in front of these Great Pyramids now, though, which is even better. Like, we were talking about this the other night.
Right outside of town.
Yeah, like, you can seriously eat your Kentucky Fried Chicken and watch the pyramids at the same. I'm like, how the poor aliens are like, y'all are killing me with this fucking fatty food.
Before I parked my vehicle.
I mean,
did you see I think it was a Transformers movie, where they had something stored in there, and like the pyramid like opened up, like it went down, and then, like something flew out of it. I mean,
it's like all like the Night at Museum ones. Like, they're fun, but I really... It's so great, but it also has a lot of history and stuff, and then you're like trying to remember, and like, I love that fun fact. What is it? Pocahontas and William Shakespeare were born, and they both actually died only within like less than a year of each other.
You don't think about it like that.
No, but like William Shakespeare's over there like being Shakespearean and shit, and then like Pocahontas is over on the other side of the world. Like, those two worlds were on the exact same timeline, but we think about them so differently as Americans, especially because...
there's a conspiracy.
Do the Brits care about Pocahontas? I wonder if the Brits care about Pocahontas. Do you guys care about Pocahontas? I need to know. Do the Brits care about Pocahontas?
I really don't. Lewis and Clark, the expedition, those gay lovers.
I mean, so gay.
There is actually a conspiracy theory about Shakespeare, since you brought it up. A lot of people think that he didn't actually write a lot of the plays and works that he did because he was son of a craftsman. I want to say a miller or an armorer or whatever, and they were saying that he just wouldn't possess that kind of language or sophistication. And so they've brought up a couple of other names, and they've tried to compare him, and they've said that he's actually referred to as, because he bought a house on like a nice street, and it gave him a title on like how he bought his way into society. It's been a few months since I read it, but there's a conspiracy about Shakespeare, like that he didn't write all those works, that he was just, they were credited to him, and that was it.
Who
cares? That was like 400 years ago. Can we just attribute it to... I'm sure there are lots of things that have been lost over time that...
who knows? Maybe in 400 years, President Barack Obama will actually become President Bush, and President Bush will be great because of all the things that Barack Obama said.
They'll just mash Martin Luther King and Barack Obama together. I have a dream. Hope.
Be the change you want to see.
Exactly.
We miss you, Obama.
I miss you so much, Obama.
We miss you so much.
Every day I'm like, I wish that he would just give me this job back. Just give it to me. Fuck this shit up.
I know, right? God bless it. I really wish that
fly in with a cape.
It'd be so great. Yeah. And see, and that kind of goes into like, this is how conspiracy theories start, though, is that somebody takes something that, how did somebody know about this prior to their existence? Because it wasn't between, education, going to the library, or knowing these things. It was, this guy is blah, blah, blah. He was infested with this. It's so dumb. What was it, that stupid picture that went around? Because Republicans, no offense, but some of you guys have some really terrible sites that you were onto, but it's a picture of a DJ Khaled and President Barack Obama, and they have that whole entire Barack Obama and ISIS like shaking hands, and I'm like, guys, just because he's dark skinned and he has a fucking beard does not make him a Muslim. And even if he was, it does not mean that he is a terrorist. Like, fuck you.
Listen, I just got a speech from a lady I had to wait on the other night. She literally followed me around the bar. I was trying to do a drawing. We do drawings, and I had to write on a light board who won. And she was following me around, and she was telling me about the Bible and how words don't mean what you think they are, like, the original Latin. And she could just follow me around, and this lady was like, she had a little bit of a crazy look in her eyes. She was talking to me about Bible and original meanings of words, and like, do you know what worship actually means? I don't even remember anything she said to me, because I was like, but then she started telling me about how Muslims are the devil's tribe, because in the Bible it says, do not worship a false idol, and Muhammad is a false idol. And she's like, I have a Quran at home. I've read it. And I was like, a Quran? And she was like, yeah, Quran. And I was like, and she was telling me about Leviticus, which is like one of the worst chapters in the Bible. And I was like, you do realize that the Quran and the Bible are literally the same book, almost word for word.
Yeah.
It says kill all believers in the Bible, in Deuteronomy 10:6, I want to say, or 10:3. You're welcome to look it up. It says stone to death anybody that is a non-believer.
Yeah.
It's same thing. And we don't, like, Christians.
An eye for an eye. It's amazing that it's okay as long as the Christians believe it's an eye for an eye, but it's not okay if anybody else believes that.
If you're brown, then that's dangerous.
If you're a brown Christian, though, it's okay. But if you're anything else besides a Christian, you're the devil worshiper.
Exactly. So she was telling me about how these people are devil worshippers and Christ is and I was like, are you going to tip me or not? Because I'm not going to stand here and listen to you with your, we'll share a Miller Lite.
Yeah. Oh my God. Those people.
She gave me $1.
Bitch. So
thanks for trying to save my soul. I don't have one. I am a ginger, by the way, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm a redhead. There is no soul here.
There is none. And it's gone. Well,
my original point was, though, Muslims read the Bible, they would think that Christians were some violent, crazy mother truckers, too.
Oh, my God, right?
Real Muslims don't follow every part of the Quran, and ISIS, those people are not real Muslims. They say that they fight in the name of, jihad and whatever, but they don't actually practice the religion. They're not religious folks. They have nothing to do with real Muslims that actually are pretty peaceful and actually really nice for the most part. They like to cook food for people. I like that. A few Muslim friends I have.
I mean,
made me dinner and I like that.
Thanks for the free food.
I'm so into free food. It's I get like a look in my eye and I see it. I'm like, is there gonna be food? Will there be enough for me to take home?
That's a big question.
It's very important.
It is very important.
I need to know these things. Do I need to pregame and eat some cupcakes before I come?
And here's the question: is that if we had not carried on religion, let's just say religion died.
Religion died out 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, let's just say it happened. Would there be as many conspiracies, or would there be less or more conspiracies if God never existed?
You know what? That's a good question.
Because don't you think that people get idealistically their thoughts in their head because they were raised even in the most atheist of homes, but they hear from their friends and other colleagues and other whatever that there's a greater being, that somebody else created us, that mentality of where did this all start from? And if God was never a part of that, how did this, you wonder, if God was never a part of the equation, if Jesus Christ was never a part of the equation, where would the conspiracies be? Or any religion whatsoever. I
always wondered, to me,
that's a dumb question, but I'm so curious about that.
There's a lot of religion. The main thing is, to me, basic sense. Okay, don't kill, don't steal, don't fuck your neighbor's wife. Don't kill, honor thy mother, thy father, which, I've gone on about elders. I'm trying to recite the 10 Commandments off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Just pull a picture of the guy that ran him over in front of the Oklahoma State Building, was it? I don't know.
It was the Oklahoma City bombing. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
No. The guy that ran over...
So I'm talking to my friend from the UK about Pocahontas.
Okay. Do you guys know about Pocahontas over there? I'm doing a podcast and I actually really need to know, so we can
She responded, and the random question of the day goes to, and I'm like, me. I am texting you at 1 o'clock randomly on a Monday afternoon. Did you ever learn about Pocahontas?
Hey, could you tell me? Actually, it's 6 o'clock for her. It's...
Well, she lives in Finley now.
Oh.
But she was born and raised in the UK, blah, 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 yeah.
I thought she was in the UK. You're bugging her at dinner, dude. Leave her alone. No, I'm just joking.
I don't give no shits about whether your time is. I want my answers and I want them now.
I need to know.
Anyways, Oklahoma City, you were talking about because I was not paying attention.
I just go off and, I edit myself out most of the time, everybody. I'm not even joking. Most of the edits are just because I rant off on some weird shit. 20 minutes, I'll just cut it right out. That's where you hear that clip. Yeah, so anyways, it doesn't follow through or make sense. It's because I just clip the fuck out of myself. I'll go off on a tangent where I'm like, that's a little too weird to introduce to everybody.
There is nothing too weird to introduce to anybody. It's always fun.
Just blow off the top of the head and cut it up and edit it.
Make it something.
Are you having some issues?
So I took
Miles over here. Jesus Christ. I was an hour plus late today.
And I also got up at my regular scheduled Monday time, so I've been up since 6:45 this morning. Oh yeah, sorry, I don't work today. And
you can't go back to sleep though.
No.
As soon as I wake up, even if it's my day off, I start thinking about stuff I got to do today.
Yep.
And then it starts waking me up. I'm like, shut up. Brain,
stop it. Well, the garage
Right
was
in
actually
front
a
of me,
hella.
right in front of
The
me.
garage was hella messy, and I was like, okay, I need to brush my teeth and start. Like, it was just
I
really
did not
terrible.
brush my teeth today. However, I did scrape my tongue in the car for you. You're welcome. That's why I'm sitting catty corner behind my screen. I don't want you to. I mean,
Yeah, I'm having a hard time like finding like comfortability zone. But see, I took my migraine meds yesterday,
oh.
and the doctors tell you can just take it. You can go to work. No, this shit like fucks me up for whatever reason. Like
What
I'm
do you
not.
take?
I don't know.
It's something.
It's
she
something.
takes something and ingests it. She doesn't know.
And then suddenly I'm
That's
all
cool.
like zony all day, and then like the
Really?
next morning I usually like a bad belly, and then I'm like still trying to like come to. It gets me real like shaky. It's
I wonder
super
if
strange.
it's I'm allergic to a migraine medicine. It starts with an I. It's Imitrex.
Oh, maybe that's what I think that's what it is actually.
It fucks me up. I had to go to the emergency room. I tried the shot and the pill, and
Yeah.
that's me puking.
Yeah, it wasn't even that, but I am a big fan of Marco Polo. It's my app, and I love sending. Have you ever done Marco Polo?
No.
Okay, so Marco Polo.
Yeah.
Marco Polo is great because I have family that doesn't live in state, or because you have those random thoughts and you don't want to text somebody, or
Right.
it's too much to text. I'm a big fan of voice to text, so even though I suck at it,
It censors me.
it does.
It pisses
So,
me off.
but Marco Polo is a little video, and so you're like laying there and you're like, oh my god, like or you're watching Game of Thrones, and you know that your friend gonna watch it in the morning, and you can be like, quick thing, and then you're like, dude, do you fucking see this on Game of Thrones? And you're like, you show it, but it can last as however long you want. You get to keep the videos for so long.
It's kind of like Snapchat.
It's like
but
it has filters, and you can write and draw on it too. But it's like Snapchat, but it's a long Snapchat, which is great because you're at lunch, you're like, fuck, I haven't called my parents, and I don't want to leave a voicemail, so I can send a little video. Hey guys, I'm on my lunch break. Haven't thought about you. Really done. Blah 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 blah. And that way. But so anyways, I sent one to my friend last night, and I rewatched it this morning, and I was like, fuck, I look stupid. I'm like, why do my pupils are all fucking weird and
dude,
shit.
did you see this? Oh my god.
Mine's all like, I'm sleepy and haven't gotten out of bed.
Last time she was tripping on mushrooms. Today she's like, I took some migraine. You can't see my air quotes migraine medicine.
And it fucked me all up. But
On
so
air
today
quotes.
I'm all, my body's like, I was still relaxed, but I can't find like a place to like get
I'm
comfy.
actually dancing over here. Well, I didn't know you had rhythm.
I don't.
Please don't ever ask me to dance. It is the saddest
I
thing you'll ever
dance
see.
like Eileen from Seinfeld.
Yes,
That's how I dance.
Elaine.
The
Elaine dance. Yes.
Eileen, Elaine, whatever.
I
She
love
probably got
her.
that shit too.
I love her on Veep.
Oh god, she's so
cracks me
great.
the fuck
Julia,
up. Yeah.
Julia Louis Dreyfus, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, is she related to Richard Dreyfuss?
I think they are.
I think I googled that once. It's been some time, so now I don't have that information in my brain anymore. I feel like I could probably Google it, but I feel like it's probably not that important. We were talking about conspiracies.
We were, but then I went off on my tangent. We're gonna probably end up taking out like fucking 15 minutes of this podcast because it's funny as shit for us. And
you know what? It's conspiracy part 1, part 2.
by the way, my friend did not learn about Pocahontas.
See?
They quit education after the Tudor times at the school she went to, but she says it was like more like a hippie school that she went to over the UK.
Oh.
Maybe public education would have learned about Pocahontas, but she did not. After the Tudor times, they don't talk about it.
Well, I could see why Pocahontas wouldn't really be relevant over there.
I know.
Because
That's
it's
what I'm
not
saying.
really
Like
part of their history. It's part of our history.
we learn like William Shakespeare to like the degree of his writings, but nothing else really about him unless you have to do a
Right.
project on him.
Right.
But we learned all about like Pocahontas and the whole travels and blah
well,
blah
that's
blah.
because Pocahontas was here.
Yeah, that's true.
And William Shakespeare was over in England, but he has such a literary.
There you go.
Got it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I wish we had. Can we get a cowbell?
Yeah,
They got them in the craft aisle at Walmart. I almost bought one, but I was like, what would I do with a cowbell?
You know what this needs? It needs more
It
cowbell.
needs more cowbell. That's what's wrong with
Mm.
our podcast. We need
More
more
cowbell. We do. And Christopher Walken saying that over
so
and over
that
again.
we can ring a cowbell every time we get a word right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we'll call it the cowbell hour. That's stupid. I'm sorry. So anyways, back to conspiracies. I just shared an article the other day about NASA and the Challenger. This shit is upsetting.
This shit is really upsetting. Be prepared.
Warning. Graphic content ahead. Please send your children out of the rooms. Like they're sitting in a room. Out of the room. I can grammar too. Anyways, NASA they covered up a lot of this information. There was actually an investigative report done about it, and you can't find it in their online archives or anything, but there's still print editions of it. But the people on the Challenger, before it blew up, they actually were thrown up into the air 3 miles after the explosion, and then they fell 12 miles to the ocean and were alive for 2 minutes and 45 seconds before they hit the water.
But they tried not to say that.
And we always all believed that they died right as the explosion happened, like it was instantaneous, there was no pain or whatever. No, those people, and if you think about it, 3 minutes is a really long time. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially like if you're like, I'm probably gonna die. I mean, that would feel like, to me,
eternity.
It would feel like forever. Like knowing that, like
they were alive enough to use their backup oxygen.
Yeah, and I just thought that was, and that's
it took them 2 years, right? It took them 2 years before they came out to the truth with the public about what happened.
I think it took them 2 years just to find the black box too. I think I had read that they didn't come up for like 2 years, and the last thing that they heard was the pilot. He said, "Oh shit," or "Oh," and that was because he saw the explosion or whatever, and that was the last thing that they recorded on that.
And they weren't prepared. They didn't have any preparation for these people to escape. They had nothing.
They were locked into that pod. They said that they might, if they would have survived the impact into the ocean, that if they might, or they could have bailed out.
Yeah.
You know, like once they got to a safe altitude or whatever where you could bail out, they had nothing. They were basically trapped in the tin can.
So it's kind of like the Titanic, but on a much fucking hotter, faster level.
Right, like, whee! I'm not going to get into some of the graphic details that I read about what some of the recoverers found.
Ugh.
And just, some really sick stuff. But that really bothered me when I read that. And I've always, like, with conspiracy theories, I've always been like, okay, whatever. For the most part, I don't think our government's trying to kill us or whatever else.
I do.
But I guess it was 9/11 where I was like, okay, people, I do believe that there are some things that happen, but for the most part, I'm like, I don't think it was controlled demolition, things like that. But the farther that we go
away from it,
the CIA files, classified files, after so many years, they become unclassified, and we're allowed to access those. And so some of the conspiracy theories is like, back in the 1950s, they used to put radiation in school milk to test the effects of radiation on children.
And that was
and that was before, I think, the bomb dropped, because they wanted to know exactly how to prepare, on like radiation poisoning and things like that. And there's been a lot of experiments done on our soldiers, like with LSD. I don't know if you ever saw those videos.
Yeah, I did. Those were fucked up.
And when my mom was in the military. There is a fly.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows this, there is a fly that joined us today. He has an opinion because he keeps buzzing by here and there, like.
Yeah, bitch.
It's probably like somebody that we knew in a past life.
They just want to hang out with our podcast. We're cool with it, bud. We're cool,
man.
Come hang out with us.
So we also have fans that are insects. I think that's great. I'm pretty happy with that result.
Absolutely.
What was I talking about?
We were talking about 9/11.
9/11. No, I bring it forward because I feel like we need to cut forward on that a little bit.
We talked about something that had to do with 9/11.
We were talking about radiation in kids' milk
Yes.
in the 1950s. Hey, why has male fertility dropped 50%?
Yeah, that one's really interesting. If you guys have not heard about that, which I have shared, NPR had a great article about how it's only in the Western Hemisphere that the male fertility has dropped by like 53% with no explanation.
That's population control. I read that article, and I'm really, next time I get it, I'm going to put it down and type it in right here. I really want to know, like, who that affects. Like, what class of people does that affect?
Is it more of like the lower class? But I think they were even saying within that article that it affected a lot more lower class, but it didn't stop. Like, it was in both classes all together.
Because, how do we know that they're not putting something in public school food? Because rich people don't, 90% of rich people that can afford boarding school.
Is that because all those guys drink from the hose out in their backyard?
You know what? I drank out of a few hoses. Oh, you mean a garden hose. Sorry. I did a little bit in the backyard.
Because I wonder, like, a lot of those things that we make fun of kids for now because they wear their helmets and they wear their protective gear and like,
right.
Is it because we weren't protecting the male species? We be a man, get kicked in the balls. You're cool with it.
You're fine. Get up.
All those guys. It'd be interesting if like every single one of those guys like had failed the fucking rope test. You know what I'm saying? Like something. I know that's stupid, but I'm just thinking that's really interesting how just on the Western Hemisphere. So then it's like, okay, is it because of
people get that flu shot? Only 50% of people get the flu shot. See, that's why I don't get the flu shot.
Yeah, and then it could also be from how we from the crops and the chemicals that we use in our crops. Is it really from the Kraft macaroni and cheese?
It's
is it from
in the Western Hemisphere? So it's got to be something that's exclusive to us.
Yeah, that's true.
And we have kind of we trade openly, food supply wise. So I feel like it would be something that happens here. But when they say the western side
was
of the
it
world,
in the coffee? I bet
it's
in the coffee.
It's the fucking coffee. That's why my tits are so big. I started my period when I was 10.
But I mean, look, I've been drinking coffee since I was 16, and look at these guys. They're like little flapjacks, okay?
You don't put enough creamer in.
I mean, geez, my little flappy jackies.
They're gonna be okay, everybody.
I mean, I'm just more concerned about like if men's fertility rates have gone down, and if we did the same exact study on females, which I'm not sure because I read the article, but kind of haphazardly, is how it's affected females. So whether or not it is something to do with like stunted growth or the way our boobs come in or the larger rates of breast cancer or all those things. Can breast cancer and the male fertility rate, like, are those things combined? So there's a lot of research, and I'm not a scientist, and I don't work for the government, and I don't have a degree, so it's not that I can even say here or there, but I think that it would be an interesting look back and say, okay, well, if we were testing men for their fertility rates, what were we testing for women? What were we testing the women for anything else? Were we testing women's fertility rates as well? Because I don't think they were. Why are we just... There had to be a reason that they were testing the men's fertility rates beyond just obviously, putting it in a tube for somebody's baby later on in the later years. But there has to be a reason that these tests take place. And I think that's one of those interesting things where we don't have any conclusive evidence. But why were you doing a test in the first place? What made you, 30 years ago start doing these tests? Did you really think that it was for scientific research? And if so, you knew something was going into it, why their rates might be fluctuating. So I think that there is actually an answer. They just don't want to come out to the public. They'll let the public know that the fertility rates are dropping, which will only help go more towards the pro-life aspect of things. I know that sounds terrible, but that's my honest opinion, that if they're wanting to scare people about male fertility rates, they're doing that to help push the pro-life agenda, because maybe we're going to be losing life and that you should be having those kids because it actually is to save humanity. And so maybe that's why we're testing it, and maybe that's why they're trying to make it a big deal now.
That's what The Handmaid's Tale is.
I still can't bring myself to watch that show. Well, I know, but I can't.
That's what the original the premise was that basically Americans couldn't have, or I guess it was the world, because there was other world leaders that came over and made deals. But there was a problem with fertility. Nobody could have a viable pregnancy but a few, things like that. So
yeah, it is. It's very, very, very
I just
scary.
Think it's kind of a red flag.
And like I was saying a minute or two ago, was why were they testing it in the first place? Don't you think they know the answer and they're just not telling us that there's a reason?
They just want to know for sure. They have to do those human trials just so that they can be like, yeah, that works.
But how long did it take us before we knew about the LSD testing and all the chemical testing that we were doing?
Well, you have to wait, I think it's 50 years or something before you can access declassified files. There's a really great website, I don't know if you've ever been to it, it's called Smoking Gun. They have tons and tons of archives of classified documents, old war films, old propaganda, cowbell, ding, 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 films. And I actually watched one, for soldiers and, how to treat their syphilis. You have to put a needle in your penis and all this stuff. It was they were showing you how to do the wash station and things like that.
Yeah.
It was they have all kinds of it, but they have all sorts of a huge archive of death certificates and things on file. Anything. It's You can spend hours and get lost on that website.
I probably totally will, because that sounds really super interesting.
I love the smoking gun. I mean, I don't visit it as often as I used to, but because I've kind of ran through.
It'd be great to get like really stoned and try to find like some crazy, insane, matrix.
Right, like I have stumbled upon the answer, which I'm pretty sure I have already. That's just weird.
Also, I've been talking. I was mentioning actually the Matrix. I think probably like 4 times so far over the weekend. I think it started off on Friday where I was at work and I was putting an orange on the tea I was making for a guest, and then my friend watches me put the orange on the glass, and then the orange was off the glass, and we couldn't find it. It wasn't even like on the floor or anything. Like it literally disappeared.
You just had a glitch.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He's like,
that shit freaks me out. I have glitches on occasion too. I'm like, didn't I just see that?
He was like, glitch in the Matrix. And then I happened to get on Saturday where something was legitimately right there, and then it wasn't. And I'm like, glitch in the Matrix, glitch in the Matrix. And they're like, no, man. I'm like, no, seriously. Something's happening right now.
Something's going on in the world.
Something's going on in the world. Things are just randomly disappearing just to fuck with us.
I think we just don't have the answers to a lot, so I'm pretty open to entertaining any ideas. I really am. I'm like, I find people's ideas fascinating. I wish philosophy... That's medic. I'm not going to get a cowbell. That's okay, though. I wish that you could still be a philosopher. Yeah, no, I wish that you could still be a philosopher and get paid. Like, I want to be down on the courthouse steps just talking, but making a living.
That'd be so great.
Like Socrates and Plato's, things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even...
Weren't they really poor starting off, though? They were probably really... Do you think they were really rich, though?
No, I'm sure that they were simple people. But, I mean, I'd be happy with simple.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if I could make what I make now...
Yeah.
But do that, I'd just be... I guess that's what I'm doing right now. I work another job. We do this for free.
We do this for free. But if y'all want to give us money, we're okay with that.
We would I'd really love some of your money right now. No, that's terrible. We do this because we want to, not because we want your money. Did I say that with enough conviction?
Not at all. No conviction. We have no conviction. So we've had, we've only kind of hand talked about a handful of little conspiracies, but what's the newest one you've read about?
Oh, GMO babies.
Ooh.
I don't think that's really a conspiracy. That's more of a should we be fucking with nature type situation. But
the new babies that they're all.
Did you read that article?
I did not read that. I mean, I read half-assed. Read the article.
With social media or
there's so much fucking information out there. Fuck.
You never can remember who likes or comments or has a conversation with you on your post. So I always have to be like, did you?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Do we remember? Did we even talk about this before?
Man, you guys talked about that? No. Yeah, that's not even...
We're so fucking crazy.
There's something wrong with this.
That's nothing shocking.
My boyfriend loves conspiracies. We were talking about people who love conspiracies. And last night he just gave me some talking points because I was like, what are some good conspiracy theories to talk about there, Jason? Since he doesn't listen to my podcast. That's the second time I'm calling him out.
Yep.
So, he was telling me about during JFK's presidency, during the Bay of Pigs, the CIA wanted to orchestrate, or before the Bay of Pigs or whatever, they wanted to orchestrate a series of Cuban terrorist attacks on American soil so that it would put us into war with Cuba. And JFK wouldn't go along with it, and like right at the end, during the Bay of Pigs, he decided not to go forward with the plan, and that's why we avoided war with the Cubans. So then JFK died not too long after that, which for the most part we all know the CIA did it. And then I thought, you know what's kind of interesting about that? I didn't get a chance to fact check this yet, but during that time, I believe it was George Bush Sr. who was the head of the CIA. My boyfriend thought that it was Prescott Bush, who is the father, I believe, of George Bush Sr. That's who, and I don't think so. I think it was George Bush Sr., who was the head of the CIA at the time when JFK died. And I just thought, you know what, that's kind of interesting that he had that idea, and then when his son was in office, 9/11 happened, a terrorist attack by a country that we've been trying to fight with for 20 years.
We really enjoy fighting with people.
Well, we really like to take oil and install our own dictatorships and governments into countries that we...
Well, North Korea is now blaming us, so that's why they're going to wreak hell on us. So, That's kind of one of those things. If you haven't read the news article about North Korea, I mean, they're pretty much like, you did this to us. We live this way because America's making us. They're forcing our hand.
That's what they say, but North Korea's fucked up.
Dude,
They have done, they say that we've done that to them, they've done it to themselves.
Yeah.
They have completely secluded, because look at South Korea. The Korean War and all that good stuff, you know, I don't.
They're saying that we're the one that created the barrier for them to not get what they need.
That was, I don't know if I believe that, just because I've read a little bit about the leader, Kim Jong-un, which is the one that's dead now, I think.
No, he's the one that's still alive.
Or is that someone that's still alive? What was...
Ill?
Could be. But the one that's dead.
L.
Yeah.
Blah.
What?
Kim Jong, all of you.
One of those, yeah. Kim Jong dead.
We're assholes. We don't care.
I mean, they're all about dear leader, and he didn't want help. You know, he was kind of a Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
So he was like, no, fuck you, I'll live with your sanctions, I don't care. But the pictures and things that come out of North Korea, like, they have a lot of propaganda. I actually loaned this book to my friend Sean, and it was about how a North Korean leader kidnapped a director and an actress to direct his own propaganda movie. And it's a real fucking story. I bought it for his birthday as a book, and I meant to borrow it, but he was like, I can't believe that's a real story. And I was like, yeah, it really happened.
Yeah, no, I
understand, and don't get me wrong, I know that America, I mean, they've done it in the Conga, I think they did it. I mean, we've installed our own governments in almost every country around the world, don't get me wrong, but to me, North Korea, I'm like, that's kind of like someone punching you and you running away and being like, I'm gonna stay in my house. You know? I mean,
that is actually very true.
I'm sure we did fuck with you guys, and I'm sure that we probably did cause that barrier or whatever, but you could have made amends with South Korea on your own. That's your lane. You know what I mean? Like,
you want to live in some weird fucking no electricity, all gray. Everybody has the same haircut.
Starving. 5 haircuts that you can choose from. I mean,
and if you read the stories of people who have escaped North Korea, I mean, there's some pretty insane stories.
Don't get me
wrong.
I
don't think they're a bunch of lies. I really don't.
Maybe America was the catalyst for that, but
they've gotten plenty of time since the South Korean War.
The way that they leave their country, that's some fucked up shit, man.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's our fault. I think that's why, and they're always having military parades.
I mean, they really like their military there.
They're always marching with a missile. Like, please don't make me push the button that pushes the button that enables the button that triggers the switch that pushes the lever that launches this fucking missile. And that will do it.
And that's just it. It shocks me to some degree that we haven't been fucked with more often.
Yeah.
And I think especially now people, I mean, the other countries...
I think it's coming, though.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that other countries understand that, you know, they are in fear because of how many nuclear warheads we have in our naval ships, and our nationalism will go through the roof overnight. I mean, we all watched that 9/11 where, you know...
They got
everybody just like freedom fries. We were jumping on board. Everybody
Patriot Act,
and you know, all kinds of things that we were like, yes, fucking America, woo! And I know, and I'm like, so, but
we all fell right for it. Ate that cake like it was delicious.
I mean, it was the best cake we ever had, you know, and that's what people really believe.
And
you know,
here we are. How long has it been now? 15 years? I don't know.
No, 16.
16 years.
Yeah, what's going on?
7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Or 7-Eleven. I want some nachos, everybody. Bring me a Super Gold.
Wasn't it Trump that said 7-Eleven instead of 9/11?
He must have been hungry, too.
Are you a fucking spy for Trump?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually getting paid right now, and you know how he pays people.
I mean, he does. He's fucking... Don't even.
So...
That guy's a fucking moron. By the way, that guy's a fucking moron.
Oh, my God.
Can we just keep putting that out there, like how stupid he is?
I saw a clip of Bill Maher had an Obama impersonator come on his show and read things that Trump has said, and then compared it to, like, what was it? I'm trying to think what the statement was. And when Obama said it, Paul Ryan would not stand up and applaud. But Trump said it, and Paul Ryan was like, woo, yeah. Oh, because the black guy didn't say it.
Yep.
So now
they're
you're
just a
on
bunch
board.
of fucking zealots.
I mean, that's just proof that you just didn't want our country to make progress at all because he was a black man.
Yeah.
I mean, what other reason could you possibly have? Because he was a man,
Yeah.
And we love male leaders.
Yep. And he had a beautiful wife. He had beautiful children. They all.
Michelle Obama. Am I right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Beautiful.
Those fucking arms.
I mean, gosh.
What a lady to look up to for sure. She was always poised and classy, and people said really awful things about her. And
for no reason.
Just to be, you know, and a lot of people are like, oh, we should have respect. But the same people who posted photos of Obama dolls being lynched. And, you know...
suddenly they want us to have respect for Donald Trump and his wife, right. Even though that she's a fucking foreigner, even though,
she should technically be deported. Based on what they're deporting other people on, she should be gone by now.
Yeah, she should.
She's not, because she's the president's wife. President.
Look, here's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, if anybody doesn't see the amount of nationalism that's going on right now and what Trump is inciting is beyond me. The fact that people aren't... I cannot... That is... Fucking here's my conspiracy 101. I mean, we're only fucking 45 minutes in this podcast. We're good. Is that, fuck, man, how do you guys not understand that he is legitimately trying to make us like North Korea and like Russia, and that at some point he's pushing for a civil war?
Yeah.
He wants this. I mean, if you follow by his rules and his methods.
What state I need to live in for the civil war? Because I don't want to be caught in red area,
right?
Have to try and wagon my way.
I think we're just gonna have to live in Colorado. I feel like Colorado's gonna be the safest state to live in.
We'll have to either go far west or far east.
Because I feel like there's still too many Ohioans who are fucking Trumpeteers that they don't.
You know who Nate Silver is?
No.
He is phenomenal. Here we go, cowbell time. Statistician.
Nice.
Yeah. Boom. Sorry, that was really fucking loud. Ding 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 ding. And he correctly predicted quite a few election results back in the day. He's lost a little bit of reputation because it's been wrong about Trump. Everybody was though. So they have a really cool website, and they're always posting stuff like statistics, numbers, things like that. And this really cool graph that had a sliding scale, and it had the last 6 presidents on it, and it had Donald Trump at the front. And when you move the slider, it would slide across all of the presidents' approval ratings, you know. And you could compare him, during their time in office, how Trump compared to every other president, last 6 presidents, at their time in that president. And the only president that he's not above any of them.
No, he's an idiot.
But the only person that he matched almost exactly was Gerald Ford. And I'm not joking.
Gerald Ford was
peak for peak. Well, Gerald Ford was... I watched this, I don't know if anybody out there watched it. It was called The 60s, and it was by CNN, and it was on Netflix, and it was really cool. But I also watched the Oliver Stone, Untold History with Oliver Stone or something, that was on Netflix. And it was extremely eye-opening, because it kind of went behind the scenes what happened during the 60s and the 50s. You know, this is actually what happened and why this, you know, the things that they don't tell you. It was really, really interesting. Kind of lost my way there, and I don't really know where I was going to go with that.
We were talking about Gerald Ford, and talking about President Trump and nationalism.
My husband figured out how to talk to me now, how to jog my memory. Because she knows I do that, I just lose my train of thought. So
yeah.
I'll have 8 ideas in my head when I'll be like Gerald Ford, and then I want to move off onto another thing. And I'm like, nope.
We'll
go back to Gerald Ford, Julia.
Yep, we're going back to Gerald Ford.
You can do it.
You can do it. You can do it.
Gerald Ford, he pardoned Nixon, so people were not too happy with him about that. So he had a really low approval rating. But the reason why he did that was because he just wanted the country to move forward after, a few years of that, Vietnam, and he just kind of wanted to move it out. And so that's who Trump, but I don't know if you ever saw the video of Gerald Ford tripping on his way up into the Air Force One.
That sounds awesome.
So
hilarious,
he was always categorized as being a clumsy, dumb, goofy, silly you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody took him very seriously. And now, he gets a little bit more respect now in history than he did when he was alive. But that's the only person that he
it's actually really interesting to bring him up.
Gerald Ford?
Yeah. So, as of Business Insider 18 hours ago, because I brought up Gerald Ford on my phone, and memo to Mike Pence, prepare to be Gerald Ford sooner than you think. It says, Dear Vice President Mike Pence, a betting man might place odds that sometime in the next 3.5 years, and maybe a lot sooner than that, you will become the President of the United States. The present situation in the White House is unsustainable. The time has come for you to consider the possibility that, as a result, it will not be sustained and that you, as a consequence, have a date with history at some point on your calendar. And then it kind of just goes, I don't know, it looks like it's a really long thing that I don't want to read all the way into. It says, it is critical that you recognize the distinction between yourself and the courtiers who jockey for his favor. You do not merely serve Donald Trump. You have an independent relationship with the American people, and Trump's fall, whenever it eventually comes to pass, will be your rise. It's time for you to stop acting like one of the courtiers and start acting like a potential successor, a viable one. The strength and nature of your independent relationship with the people may well have a profound consequences for a post-Trump America.
Post-Trump America is all about that quiverful movement I keep harping on about to you. Like, I'm telling you.
Embrace marginalization. It's your protection, the one thing that may allow you to emerge as a leader not hopelessly tainted by your origin story. Work on that marginalization. Pray for it. Don't try to come from the cold, run out into the cold, and stay there. Wow, Business Insider is like literally telling him how to run for president right now.
Here, I pulled it up on my phone just so that you can see.
Ah,
and
nice.
You can move up and down. And the green line is Trump. And when we post our blog, I'll put a link up to this so that you guys can see what we're looking at.
Yeah, he's way below fucking Lyndon Johnson, that's for sure.
He's even below Ford.
He is below Ford.
I mean, but I think that's interesting because you can actually see how he's done comparably to it's the past 6 presidents or so. I mean, Ford, Carter, Bush. Did Bush have 2? First Bush had 2 terms, didn't he?
Yep.
And then Clinton had 2 terms.
Yep.
And then Junior had 2 terms.
Yep.
Barack Obama had 2 terms. I mean, why don't we just make presidents an 8-year fucking term?
Shut up. Don't even fucking start that fucking theory. No. Stop it.
Not right now. But, I'm like, is 4 years long enough for a leader to implement their ideas and work them through legislation before another guy comes in and says, you know what, a company doesn't even work well like that, having a different supervisor every single time. Then everything gets fucked up. Like, I don't know, this guy likes to do it this way.
So, I mean, our highest rated president was Harry S. Truman, with an 82% approval rating between 1945 and 1953.
But that was because of World War II.
And then it was Eisenhower at 72.6.
And it went from Eisenhower to Truman, I believe, during...
Yeah.
Right?
And then JFK was at 75% with Lyndon B. Johnson, who followed him at 74%. So, I mean, even Johnson kept up.
Johnson wasn't too bad. He kind of was par for the course or whatever. He
yeah.
Just didn't,
and then the highest that we have been since, let's say, Kennedy, was George H.W. Bush between 1989 and 1993 with 67%. And that was it. He's the highest. I mean,
and that's strange.
That's so strange because 74% was Lyndon B. Johnson. I mean, it's crazy.
Maybe that's
faith
in our leadership and being like, I really don't approve overall of presidencies, and so they already have like a 10% deficit when they meet somebody who might be president.
Yeah,
like I'm already like negative 10% on my approval of you just because I don't trust the government.
Yeah, so, that's very true. We definitely don't have that nationalism, and I think that's what Trump was trying to bring back. Because I think if he brings back the nationalism, it'll bring back his approval ratings.
And I think that Donald Trump, all the people so sad. Many people have told me that this is so sad. The best people, including the Boy Scouts. Not the poor people. I wouldn't want a poor person running a business. Yeah, because that's why we're poor.
Yeah.
Because we can't run businesses. Mm-hmm. Not everybody needs to run a business. So
some of us just want to, live.
So, the conspiracy of Donald Trump, I think that, he's just a detractor. He just keeps us busy and upset and angry and not paying attention to legislation and what's really going to happen. Because I'm pretty sure that, he's either going to resign or something's going to happen to Trump. He is just a patsy. And I'm pretty sure he either has dementia or Alzheimer's or he got old man's disease. I'm sorry, I know plenty of 70-year-olds who are coherent and fine and talk well, but Trump does not.
Yeah, he
uses words like many, very, good, bigly, which is supposed to be big league. Well, it's 2 words, Donald, so get it together. It's not bigly, it's big league. Right, enunciating, okay.
I think that, he wasn't this ill-spoken before.
No. Well, I think that I brought that up in the past, and that was where we got onto linguistics. That there was a panel of them that analyzed his speeches and things that he said over the last 30 years and found that, back in the 70s, he had like a college level of speaking, and now it's like a high school or a 7th or 8th grader level of language. And also, there's been videos of him like wandering aimlessly. Like, he walked right past his limo after he got off Air Force One, and one of the Secret Service men had to be like, Mr. President, back that way. Literally walked right past his limo. And had to have somebody redirect him back to it.
And, like, dude, it's fine if he's suffering through some form of, like, dementia, or he is going through it. I just don't think you should run a nation on it.
No, I don't.
It would have been like living the nation with my grandmother, and she would have just, been telling everybody to drink PBR at noon every day and buy some more rugs. Exactly. It would have been really bad advice.
No, I just
go to church 4 times a week and give all your money to the churches, because that's the only way your soul's going to get saved.
I love Sundays because I always post on my personal Twitter feed that picture of Jesus, and it says it's Sunday, where's my money, bitches? You know what I mean? Because
it's so true.
We could do a whole podcast just on religious zealots and the money that they make. But let's not get off on a tangent. Let's go ahead and make that our next episode about religion. So thanks for tuning in. This was about conspiracies. Coffee, how delicious it is. Cigarettes. Did we cover anything else and move off into something weird? Ooh, President Trump as always. We really do try to steer away, but oh man, we really can't. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Yeah, Miles. Don't forget to say goodbye.
Bye, bitches.
Bye.